how do agents make these things beneficial? Because they can't spend $150 million a year in advertising like Zillow does. I made up that number, by the way. I'm just assuming that's the number. So
portals own the crowd. Last I saw the report, I think Jeremy talked about it on his quarterly call. It was about 225 million uniques per month.
That's it.
But in my exactly 8 billion people on this earth. But
remember, Homes.com is number one now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I'm the smartest guy in my house too when no one's home.
You talk about it privately. We talk about it publicly. This is the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered Podcast. Welcome again to the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered Podcast. I'm your host, Dwiggy.
What up, Dwigs?
Along with Crazy Uncle Robinson.
Hey, Keith, that's me.
Keith Robinson, the man, the myth, the legend. We had William Grewal, the CEO of HomeStack, on, and we nerded out on AI.
Yeah,
really. A lot.
If you aren't interested in an AI podcast, well, you should be. So just hang around and listen because it's damn good.
Yeah.
Will covered a lot of ground. I have so many notes and quotes from him. He's like a quote machine. Do things you love with the people you love. I got that right out of the gate. We talked about some of the myths of mobile versus desktop in search and residential real estate. We had a little dalliance in provocative marketing. Listen for that part. You will giggle.
HR is going to lose its mind.
Yeah. And then as James mentioned, we went all in on a discussion around AI, the future. He's someone who has really leaned into it for his company. And so we got to have some visioneering and thought exercises about AI. What is it? How does it work? Why it may or may not win in residential real estate. A really, really deep conversation on a couple specific topics. You are going to dig it. Put it in your ears, kids.
Well, welcome to the show. And we were in the green room. Will just got back from his honeymoon.
Yeah. In where?
In Japan.
Yeah. Congrats.
Kind of jealous.
Yeah, super jealous.
Gonna be honest, it's definitely a country on my checklist. And I'm gonna be really cliche for a second and say I want to go in the spring when the cherry blossoms are going, because it looks just amazing.
No one's ever said that before.
I hate you. It's early. I already said that early in the show.
Jeez.
So Will, first of all, you got back from honeymoon, Japan.
Yeah.
Talk about that in a second, but also you were just at Inman Connect in San Diego as well, which can we agree is a better venue than Vegas? Is that
It's fair? The best. It's the absolute best. Anytime that you're on the bay overlooking a ballpark, seeing the clear blue waters, nothing beats it.
Pretty good.
Yeah. San Diego was a beautiful time of year. I'm reminded when I'm down there why we pay the state income tax we do in California, because San Diego's like 75 degrees, 365 days a year, just consistent. So, all right, my friend, let's dive in a little bit. We always start with a speed round version of your background. So I know you've been in the tech space of residential real estate since 2014, so 11 years. Give us the background, my friend. How did you get into the industry? I was about to say this crazy industry, but I was actually say something else. But and become the CEO of HomeStack. Talk to us.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me on the show. And I think we can all agree there's never a dull moment in this industry.
Nope,
never. Yeah.
And I'll quickly glaze over the fact that my first job in college was working at Blockbuster. And keep us on track here.
Yes, just jamming people.
But was it in Bend, Oregon?
Oh.
Not in Bend, Oregon, in Palos Verdes, California here.
And just breaking people off those late fees, huh?
Yeah.
That was the worst.
But, kind of rewinding the clock in 2008 when Steve Jobs announced the Apple App Store at the Worldwide Developer Conference, I knew it was the future.
Damn.
I've always loved building, I've loved selling, I've loved competing, and I've always had kind of deep conviction that mobile apps were going to change the way that we lived. Fast forward a few years, teamed up with a few really close friends, and we built a mobile app development company where we built thousands of the most stylish white labeled applications for 35,000 plus agents in the US today.
Dang.
Why real estate? What got you into this segment of all the areas you could have gone? What brought
James
you to residential?
Jumping in with background follow-up
I'm just trying to figure out how to get out, and I'm wanting to know why you got in. So
yeah. So much of what I do and so much what brings me pride is do things you love with people you love. My co-founder is a third generation real estate agent. His dad owns a pretty large and successful real estate brokerage here in the US. So we quickly understood that there were problems when it came to fragmentation, when it came to standardization of data, and really when it comes to building a unique consumer experience. So we completely bootstrapped the company, built it out of our dorm room into our bedroom. And we were thankful enough to have a lot of the local real estate brokerages down here in Southern California open their doors for us, where we just took over their conference room and we went from like tech support, where if they had an issue, to innovators on the fly with solving issues with them.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I love
awesome.
hearing that. I love hearing that.
Me too. Yeah.
Keith, you got a follow up? Usually you do.
Usually, but you took it. You took it.
Sorry.
Yeah, I guess
I jumped.
I would to go back to Japan. Any learnings there from that trip? I mean, you usually go into another country, it sort of opens your eyes to how some things are done, maybe differently, better, sometimes worse. But any ahas or light bulb moments from spending some time in Japan?
100%. I mean, the way I kind of depict it, Japan, it's a 12-star experience in a 10-star world. And they take so much pride in their craft. Whether they're a taxi cab driver, swiftly getting you from point A to point B, whether they're a bartender, chiseling your ice cube to perfection with a perfect square and clarity, or if they're a sushi chef preparing like a deadly fish called fugu. I'm not sure if you guys have tried fugu before.
No.
I'm not a risk taker, but yeah.
You got married and ate deadly fish all in the same month, bro. You like living dangerously.
Sure, there's a marriage joke in there, Keith.
Yeah, I think my point that I'm trying to drive is the level of service and the level of care that they put into every single magic moment is not lost. And I think there's an antidote there that we can take here, specifically in real estate tech, specifically in real estate as a brokerage, a team, or an agent perspective, that service is everything. And when they're in the moment, nothing else in the world matters to those employees.
That's really cool. You know, I always talk about this, and there's two things that I talk about, actually Keith and I both do when we do keynotes across the US, is consumers are willing to pay a premium for service and convenience.
Yep.
Period.
Absolutely.
The end. And if you Japan, I'm assuming is, from everything I've heard, I haven't been there yet, is astronomically expensive. But to your point, you're probably experiencing things in a way where you're just like, I don't really care, because it's just everything is about perfection. Is that a fair statement?
Very fair. And I mean, obviously things change with time, but the dollar's trading very well against the yen.
Sure.
But there is certain things that when it comes to a level of service that you experience that is so unique, every single one of your senses is taking it in, whether it's through visual, whether it's through taste, whether it's through audio, really through touch, etc. So they really do hit every single sense during the experience.
How much of it, I'm about to wax philosophical, and we'll get back to real estate in just a sec, but how much of that is like the comparison I have is I went to Italy once, and we're in Chianti region, and we go to this winery, and it was a great experience because this guy had grown up in Italy, fallen in love with an American woman, married her, lived in the US for a while, and then when they retired, they went back to Italy. And he's like, you Americans, you're so cute. You're like toddlers. We've been making wine for 1,000 years. We just do it our way. We know how to do it. Japan's been around a really long time. They've had that sort of commitment to quality and excellence from the very beginning. It's ingrained in their culture. How much of it is culturally just because they've been around forever and they're committed to it? Like, we have things that we're great at in America. I don't know that perfection, we're not obsessed with perfection. That wouldn't be how I would describe Americans. Risk takers, a whole bunch of things we're really good at. Obsessed with perfection isn't really it. Is that a culture that we can really overlay across the top of the US, or are you saying just take the best parts and plug it in to what works for you?
No, I think there's an antidote there where individuals, they find their lane, they double down, and they go all in. And to kind of take like a Malcolm Gladwell example of the 10,000 hours, I mean, you're talking about individuals in Italy, you're talking about individuals in Japan, where they lock in at a very early age and they go from like not only inventing, but perfecting.
Yeah.
I think here in the United States, not to go too far off the handlebars, but we're all about yield.
Yeah.
We're all about
Right.
consumerism. We're all about churning tables. We're all about maximizing profitability. So I think there's just two different overarching philosophies on that component.
I think the analogy to add on to it, I'm going to get the time frame wrong, but the point's the same. Like some of the sushi chefs in Japan, they'll spend 10 years just perfecting how to do the rice in a roll. I'm not making it somewhere in that time frame, but just when I was reading about it, there's the amount of time people spend to do something, that one thing perfectly is quite fascinating. All right, Keith, take us back on track.
Yes. So you've dropped a couple book recommendations already, which I'm excited to ask you this one. I'm the reader of this sort of Batman and Robin duo. So book or podcast, favorite one you reread. What should I go buy right now or subscribe to?
Highly recommend, especially kind of in this market with real estate. The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
It's a great book.
Ben Horowitz.
Yeah.
It's not sugar-coated.
No.
Really dives deep into what, founders deal with on a day-to-day basis. Really makes impossible calls, go through anecdotes when things don't always go right.
Mm-hmm.
And best of all, each chapter starts with a rap lyric to pump you up. So amazing book.
It is a really good book. I haven't read that one in a while. I need to reread that. That's a good one. All
right. If you had lunch with someone current or historical, who would it be and why?
Yeah. Pat Tillman, ASU alumni.
Yeah. Okay.
I think if you kind of reverse engineer his story, I mean, he went from being the most, Hulk gladiator type figure in the National Football League, dominating, not just being kind of a hobbyist. He was an enthusiast. He was a Pro Bowler, making multi-million dollars within his contracts, and then served kind of the U.S. military. So my number one question to Pat Tillman is, how did you find that type of clarity with your purpose?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many humans just in case anybody doesn't know, Pat Tillman made a bunch of money, peak of his NFL career.
Absolutely.
Made a lot of money, walked away from all that to join the Marines, I think. I don't want to misquote, but to enter the military, and then sadly lost his life. And so someone who's willing to walk away from that, I'd even be curious about his process. How did you go? Okay, you have this idea, I don't think I want to play football anymore. I think I want to join the Marines. Okay. But how do you get from that to what he chose to do? I agree. Can I crash out that lunch? Because that sounds very interesting. Yeah, that sounds very
Watching
interesting.
Keith go down that hole of just actually,
in my
shit,
head,
that'd be really fun to be at that one. Yeah.
We'll make it omakase, Keith.
Okay, perfect.
There you
go. All right, give us the background on HomeStack real quick. You are the CEO from HomeStack, so just give us the quick rundown of the product real quick, and then we'll dive into some other stuff on residential real estate.
Totally. So we start HomeStack because real estate tech is messy. We kind of touched on that. Fragmented. Agents would use one tool for search, another tool for leads, another tool for follow-up, another tool for CRM.
Right.
So that's kind of what HomeStack is. It's a mobile-first platform, allows agents, teams, and brokerages to launch their own mobile app, fully branded in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Lead generation tool, optimized for search that improves communication and collaboration, of course, with tons of AI layered with intelligence within the entire product today.
So give us we'll go a little bit deeper on this. So talk to us about, because I got a lot of questions around this recently, where I've been spending a lot of my time looking at sort of the future. What would you say the difference is between that and other search products? And I want you to compare not only against products for agents, but give me the idea on how it's different than, for example, the mobile apps for Realtor or Zillow or other portals. Talk to me about sort of how you're framing the product for the industry.
Yeah. So I'd say if we wanted to kind of take a look at the evolution of real estate search, it truly does tell a story. If you rewind the clock 30 years ago, we were in what I like to call the analog era. This is where MLS books were very important.
And they're
data
coming back.
Stop.
Not a controversial take. I see where you're coming there, James.
What do you mean?
Data was scarce and the agent was the gatekeeper. Fast forward here, over the course of the last 20 years, that's the information era, right? Portals led the charge here. They gamified access with these estimates, beautiful design, powerful UX. It was tactical. It was effective to change consumer behavior. So really kind of where do we position ourselves against like direct competitors and indirect competitors of, say, the portals and just general search experience? I would say first, it's personalization. Every single app is fully white labeled, branded to the agent and the brokerage. This isn't a Zillow, this isn't a Redfin, it's your name in the app store. So in a world where trust and visibility matter, owning a brand experience is a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the other two things that I think are very, very important is privacy. So, there's an old saying out there, there's no such thing as free lunch. The big portals monetize consumer data. Someone favorites a home, they're suddenly getting bombarded with calls from random agents and lenders. When you do own your own experience, it's private. It's protected. You're much able to build relationships without worrying about data leakage. And then finally, kind of like the third thing that I think is where we are heading as a era, and this is going to be kind of more along the lines of the intelligence era, it's through AI-powered follow-up. We've reimagined how alerts are sent. And instead of clogging inboxes, we really lean into push notifications. They're real-time, highly engaging, hyper-personalized, and way more effective. So it's kind of like having a digital assistant nudging your clients at the right moment.
I had a friend of mine text me yesterday, and he asked me to say the two tech products that are a complete waste of money in residential real estate. I'm not referring to you, by the way, just to be clear. And one of the things I said was, my very first comment was agent websites. And I didn't even hesitate when I responded with it. And by the way, I want you to tell me if I'm off, to be clear. The reason I stated that was I don't know of many consumers who go to realtor websites anymore. They've loved their favorite portal that has so much data and so much information. And I don't see, just tracking this stuff, I just don't see massive lead gen off realtor sites. Mostly, in my opinion, it's kind of like an online digital business card. You have to have it, but it's not necessarily going to generate this massive amount of business. Am I off with that statement? And you can tell me if I am. Like, what is your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts have actually kind of changed a little bit. And I think having a website is still table stakes. I really do think people are still going to Google, they're moving to LLMs, and they're immediately searching the individual's name just to develop trust and credibility.
Okay.
And so being able to have kind of a web interface that clearly articulates what you stand for, what your value is, where your differentiation is, and how I can develop a personalized relationship outside of, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the Facebooks of the world, I think still is very important. The good news is it's never been easier to build technology than this before. And building a beautiful and elegant website doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg. So I do think, like, in a world where we're kind of competing for certain traffic, I still do think a website plays a role, but I still do very much lean into where is the consumer going. And that's very much a mobile first world today.
For sure. And I was asking the question because I'm not putting mobile into that segment. I'm just, it is, I mean, you kind of said the same thing to a degree. It's like a business card for the agent. The website is basically, and they need to have it so that they're visible there. But developing a bunch of time and spending a bunch of money on that, I guess without having a lot of traffic or a plan to drive traffic to it, seems like not the best use of your investment money or your expenditure.
Yeah, I think looking at total OpEx, I think it may have been top heavy on web over the course of the last 5 years, and we're going to see a shift there.
Yeah.
Now, kind of talking about kind of like this intelligence era, and it's like, is SEO dead? No, it's changing though. And I think we're still dialing in on what does the future of SEO look like. And we're hearing buzz phrases like AEO. We're hearing buzz phrases like GEO. And how
Just in case someone has missed those, what do those stand for?
Yeah. So answer
NAR was
engine
involved in those
optimization.
acronyms, by the way.
It's pretty much the results that when you go to ChatGPT and search something, it's what is showing up. And we're still figuring out how to crack that code. And to me, I still do think having authority and having ownership of a website will still rank you within those algorithms. So I wouldn't replace it. I would maybe just deprioritize what your spend is.
All right.
I have a mobile versus desktop question, and it could be because I'm 53 and old and, can't see very well. And so half the time I can't even see what's on my damn phone. Whoa. Yes. And bald.
I just had to throw something in there. I got to throw something in there.
Jeez. Yeah. I will tell you my experience. I don't have any data to back this up, but I agree it's a mobile first world. But I actually think as people move down the sales funnel, they transition to desktop for search. I know that that's my experience. Like, yeah, I like messing around on my phone to look at some stuff. But like if I'm really looking for an investment property, or I'm really trying to figure out if I want to move to just outside of Nashville to this cute little town called Murfreesboro that's 20 minutes from downtown and still has a little bedroom community vibe to it.
Apparently,
for example,
in California.
I would. I'd go to the desktop. So I know mobile's important. I'm not saying that it's not. I remember Gary Vee saying, this is probably 5 or 6 years ago, I'm never, ever, ever going to develop anything for desktop ever again. It's all mobile from here. And I'm like, dude, like, I like you and you're hyperbolic and that's cool. And you say the F word a bunch, but like, that's not true. Desktop still matters, right? Especially for real estate search as they go late cycle, or am I just an old grandfather who's not a grandfather yet, but with my head up my butt?
No, you nailed it. And like I mentioned, I think this is where I've changed my mind the most over the last few years. We were mobile first. We were mobile everything. And I do think kind of cross-platform parity is important. To kind of take your point, Keith, specifically, I think a lot of the middle of the funnel activity is still driven by mobile. It's where people engage. And so whether you're a prospect scrolling listings on the couch, messaging, scheduling a showing, getting push notification alerts, mobile truly is king. But I think where desktop still matters is where people decide. And whether they are digging deep into data, looking at sophisticated reports, they are looking for a richer interface. I mean, I'll kind of give this example as well. If I'm booking a flight domestic, I'm actually booking a modal. If I'm booking a flight international, I'm actually using desktop. And I do think the more complicating that the decision is and the higher stakes they are, you tend to shift to a desktop experience.
I agree.
There's almost a place, I think, for someone to be like, yeah, whatever mobile. I'm just going to have the best, like, late funnel desktop enabled. I know that sounds nuts. No one would give me any money to start that company, but I do think there's some thinking there that people are missing. But
I think you're dead on accurate, because if you're searching for stuff, now that you said that out loud, like you screw around, like you wake up, you're on your phone, you're going to bed, you're on your phone, you're running around in the airport. But when you get into that granular, like really wanted to research stuff, 40-inch monitor, multiple screens, like being able to go back. I have a question I want to ask, because I think I want to make sure we're getting really tactile here. So we've kind of established there's maybe a need for both. I do agree with you, Will, that probably 60% of that process, maybe even 70%, is on mobile. And then when you get into that sort of, to Keith's comment, further down the funnel, you get really granular with your research. But all of this is irrelevant if you're not driving traffic to it. Am I off there? And if I am off, tell me yes. And then secondarily, if I'm not off, how do agents make these things beneficial? Because they can't spend $150 million a year in advertising like Zillow does. I made up that number, by the way. I'm just assuming that's the number. So
yeah. So like portals own the crowd. Last I saw the report, I think Jeremy talked about it on his quarterly call. It was about 225 million uniques per month.
That's it.
But in my exactly. 8 billion people on this earth. But
remember, HomeStack.com is number one now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I'm the smartest guy in my house too when no one's home.
When it's a one-player game, we can all say what we want. But I think ultimately the agents own the relationship, and the relationships still close the deals, right? And so I think kind of going to your question, James, it's like, well, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? What comes first, the agent or the users? And it always starts with the agent, in my opinion. Provocative marketing and hyper-personalized messaging always wins. Let's not lose sight of that. Like as real estate agents, we have to be bold, we have to be courageous, and we have to be a little bit provocative when it comes to what are my value props.
Can you give me an example of a provocative value prop? Like what is that? I mean, I know what all those words mean, but like, what does that mean? Yeah.
100%. So shout out to a client, Darren Walker, out there in Austin, Texas.
What up, Darren?
When he went live with his mobile application, he had this saying, and we built him an app, and he had his headshot as his app icon. And he'd walk up to people, and he's like, do you want my face in your pocket? Can I put my face in your pants? Now, you asked, Keith. That is provocative.
Is there fair housing violations there or some
my
like,
man. Oh, Lord.
That is provocative. That is powerful.
NAR HR just literally lost itself right now listening to this. Yeah.
Darren was the king at the social hour generating installs.
Darren and Austin, you, sir, are diabolical. That is, that's funny. That is funny.
But, you know, shifting this to kind of like data and like practical applications here. So like we've seen agents do some awesome things when they make their application their primary call to action. So whether you're doing print marketing, whether you're using digital marketing, whether you're the Oppenheim group on Selling Sunset, generating, you know, all your users on your website, leveraging your mobile application as kind of a call to action, I think has been like a really strong way to generate kind of, you know, downloads and usage. I will say kind of like one example that's really paving the way, James, for future innovations here, and that I think is like a massive catalyst, like what we're building here at HomeStack, is mainly using agentic AI when it comes to touring. Now, agents are meeting buyers on buyers consultations and really letting them know that their app is designed to accelerate the process from discovery to close and streamline touring. And so when you do meet with someone at, say, a buyer consultation, it's like, hey, you can use whatever you want out there, but at the end of the day, my job is to provide you a service that I can work with you along this difficult process. And where I think, you know, agentic AI is really kind of winning here in this process is like, we kind of just touched on it with AI with like the LLM side of things. And this is ChatGPT, this is Perplexity, this is Claude. This is where it's like, input in, output out. Specifically with touring, I think you can add in certain workflows where it syncs with your calendar. You could sync it to a weather API. You could sync it to traffic. And then we're kind of like the agent standpoint, and I'm talking about the agentic agent, not the real estate agent. Think of this as like a military fleet of having this army of users who are working on your behalf to really kind of confirm the scheduling process. So like our data shows touring is super important. 3 times more likely to convert on a property if a consumer schedules a tour versus not scheduling a tour. And what we've also tracked is about 10 to 12 messages are sent when coordinating a touring experience. So like we're extremely bullish that like leveraging specific workflow and automations will really help to reduce kind of friction throughout this process. So I think like making it your primary call to action, canvassing it on all of your marketing, utilizing it, you know, it's an overall campaign, but really sitting down as the trusted advisor during some of these buyers consultations and just say, hey, look, this is how we're going to win. Do you trust me?
Right. I got some AI questions. Can I double click on the AI stuff with you for a minute?
100%.
On the artificial intelligence? Perfect. And I want to push past like the fluff and the high level stuff, right? And into like someone who is implementing it into his business. Because I'm sure there are some people listening who are like, I know I need to do something with AI. Everybody, at every conference I go to, they talk about it all day, every day. So like, do you have AI developers that work for you, or do you use like a shop that builds the tools for you? If I don't want to ask, I mean, you don't have to tell me the spend unless you want to, but would you say it's like surprisingly expensive or inexpensive. And then if someone wanted to start with AI today, what would you advise? So a bunch of like any granular, right? Like real stuff around operating a business and artificial intelligence and what you've learned over the last however many years you've been plugging it into the business.
Yeah. So like my advice to like agents who are looking at AI today, it's like, one of my mentors have always said, do the things that are most painful until you like it. And so I think this is more of a fear of like a misunderstanding of where to start. Based off of kind of like our engineering architecture, like we used to have 5 engineers for every 1 PM. Right now, our engineers are saying that we need 1 PM for every 1 engineer because of kind of the agentic army in which
PM?
project manager.
Yep.
Okay.
Project manager.
People don't know all the acronyms.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So I mean, we've really gone all in on AI. I think code has been able to be shipped much, much faster and it's somewhat commoditized. I'd really say the big opportunity here is really in design and user experience. I think a lot of people are going to be using kind of the similar modules when it comes to building. Its design is so emotional, and I think it does provide kind of that overall user experience that creates one that people love to come back to.
So you're talking about like, for example, like Lovable, which is you can build a website on Lovable and you sort of bro code, right? Or whatever they call it, where you give it prompts. I want it to look like this and, make sure there's a gorilla in the background or whatever. And then magically you get a website that is somewhat close to what you wanted. Is it Lovable or are other things?
Yeah, so I mean, Lovable is an awesome piece of technology that people can bootstrap a website with a series of prompts. I think that there's other technology out there that agents could really thrive with. When it comes to like voiceover, you can use 11 Labs. When it comes to creating like an avatar and a video to mass produce and hyper personalized messages, there's technology out there called like HeyGen. I mean, there are so many like unique tools that are solving, micro problems that ultimately allow agents to do what they're best at. And that's kind of be out there in the field and develop relationships. And so like the old adage, and we've heard this at conferences, it's like, is AI going to replace agents? It's like, go and rewind the clock. Like we had the same technology on the Inman stage 10 years ago. Is technology going to replace agents? And the answer was always no. Agents that embrace technology is going to, replace agents that don't. Is AI going to replace workers? No, it's going to create entrepreneurs. And at our core, real estate agents are some of the most tenacious entrepreneurs on this planet. And I think that what AI really does is it commoditizes data and it makes it invisible. It's going to level the playing field for everybody to start to compose with certain assumptions that data is now known and abundant.
Right. Yeah, I've said AI will make creativity, it's not quite there yet, but AI will make creativity the most important skill set, like the characteristic that you need to be successful. Because if you can be a creative thinker and really learn how to take AI and create with it, you have a competitive advantage and a first mover advantage right now that most don't have, right?
I've been thinking about this a lot because Keith's been pushing me heavily into to AI, and I decided I didn't want to talk about lawsuits anymore.
Thank God.
And I've been trying to answer this question that he just asked myself as I'm talking about it and showing it and using AI. And it's interesting to me. I've started to have sort of clarity on what an AI empowered agent is. Here's some ideas, and tell me if I'm off, Will. So I think about your OpEx. How can you reduce your overhead down, be more efficient with your OpEx, have AI do things? And I've used this example before, but like, just it's one that I'm using on a daily basis, but Fixer. So, it's literally responding to my emails, creating draft responses. I make quick edits and send it out. It does literally save me 30 minutes to an hour a day. Keith mentioned, an avatar. I think good agents are going to figure out how to duplicate themselves or triple or quadruple themselves, where they're in multiple places at multiple times with content that's out there. That comment that Keith said about creativity. So to me, it's like a two-pronged approach of how are you being more efficient in your business, how it operates, and how AI can do that? And then two, and this is the part where I think some agents are really going to shine, is they're going to embrace AI in the way that it can duplicate themselves for more exposure and more business. And somewhere in the middle of those two is going to be the AI empowered realtor. Simultaneous to that, I think as I'm looking at what AI I think will be able to replace the realtor. I know, and I say this on stage, some people freak out about it, but I'm like, AI will do a better job at comps than you will eventually. AI will do a better job at helping you come up with an offer strategy because you've only been in the business for 2 years and you've written 3 offers in your life. Like, it's going to help you come up with that strategy. Those things, I think, is where the realtor's value will shift. But that interaction part, I cannot see in my brain still today how AI replaces the human interaction between a buyer who's completely freaked out about spending their entire life savings and an agent that's guiding them, candidly being a therapist through that entire process. And the same thing with a seller and agent. I've been trying to think about it, listening to people go, oh, AI is going to replace the realtor. And I'm like, you guys are missing the entire part about an infrequent transaction.
There is one piece though, and sorry, Will, because it's no fun when we have a guest and just talk to each other. So I'll be right back, Will, I promise. But I do think, I think we speak too wide ranging. There are some deals that will get taken from a human agent to an AI. I've invested in residential real estate my whole career, done a lot of fix and flip, ground up construction. I know what I look for in a project. And I don't need, like, with a couple AI bots, I can probably find a flip and execute on that flip. I don't need the hand holding. Half the time I'm, bulldoze the house anyway and build a new one. So, like, I don't care the condition of the house, right? So to say that it won't be impacted at all, I think we're just lying to our audience so they feel better. There will be some deals that are done through an AI agent. But there's
6% of transactions don't use a realtor today.
Yeah, so, and that might go to 9, right?
Yeah,
so or 10. Yeah. So 3%, 4% growth in that demographic, sure. But the agent who is the AI empowered agent, we got to come up with a better catchphrase, right?
ChatGPT calls him a cyborg agent.
That's worse. So, but that person can sell more houses now. So the net effect is you will lose some available transactions to AI. That's going to happen, kids. Sorry. But if you really embrace this technology, you will have the bandwidth to go from selling whatever you sell now to 1.5 to 2 times that, at least, or have a much higher quality of life and make it to the gym and go to Japan and whatever else you want to do. So, like, I do think we got to stop talking in absolutes. Like, you're not going to lose any business. That's not true. And it's going to be the end of the world. Also not true. Somewhere between those two is probably the truth.
So, Will, the question is, what do you think about that dialogue Keith and I just had?
Will,
like, what's your take on all of that? Like, give us your opinion.
Be the tiebreaker, Will.
Yeah.
There's a lot to kind of unpack there. So I think the one thing that the agents have going for them that, AI isn't quite there yet, and this is where things get scary, is where you can implement empathy and really kind of the emotional play within this challenging, conversation. What I do think, and I'm AI optimist, I'm not AI dictator by any means. Where I do think and where I do hope AI really emerges is providing more consumer confidence when it comes to pricing, when it comes to discovery, when it comes to, am I making the right decision? I think so much of real estate is it's a very illiquid asset. And it's because ultimately, what is the price of a home? It's what someone is willing to pay for it. And so to Keith's point, which properties may be eaten up with AI? I do think some of like the cookie cutter new development areas where, the listing DNA is 100% the same. Yeah. 4 beds, 3 baths, 1,500 square feet, painted the same HOA. I mean, this is essentially kind of copy and paste. So when like new construction, new development, built for that. Now, if you look at kind of the range of extremes that Keith was mentioning, luxury will always have a fiduciary responsible individual alongside. A few of these niche communities will. We're talking about 4 million listings projected to sell this year.
Yeah, we're on target, the same as last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think like 4 is probably the absolute minimum. We kind of, had hysteria there earlier with, 6.5, a few years back. What if AI can really help?
Yeah.
What if AI can create more confidence and visibility of information to create more liquidity and more transactions? And I think that could be a direction in which we're heading.
Can I nudge against that just a little bit though? Right? Because I think we're saying the same thing, maybe with different words, but access to information for the human being who's buying or selling has exploded in the last 15 years, right? Mm-hmm. And you know what else has gone up in the last 15 years? Use of a real estate agent. So the human being given too much information chooses nothing and then seeks, to your whole point, like if I'm traveling international, if it gets more complicated, I got to talk to a person, right? Or I need my desktop and I need a bigger screen. And I don't think it's as much about accessing information as synthesizing the information, right? And,
completely correct.
And processing the information. And that AI is an information processing monster, right? And
without a doubt.
Yeah. So to me, that I think the emotional piece is 100% right. But our value prop of the future isn't going to be that I can tell you how many beds, baths, and square foots. By the way, newsflash, it's already not. Right?
Yeah.
They can find that anywhere they want. And so our value prop, and maybe I should just form a question, Will. So with AI coming in, what is the value prop of the future for the real estate agent or James or whoever?
I think the value prop is hyper-personalization. I mean, I've never been more excited to build and ship than kind of in this era than we're in right now. And I think we're going to shift from like search to curation. I think looking at a crystal ball 30, 40, 50 years from now, I think my grandkids are going to laugh at me when I tell them that we used to use a web browser. Mm-hmm. That web browser would have 10 blue links that we would randomly click into and research each page displayed to maybe tell the story of what we want to look or get some form of anchored bias. And so like really kind of what does the future look like with AI? I think if you use an example like Spotify, it isn't just going to be a single product that has a library of music. It's going to be 433 million different products, one for each and every user.
Yeah.
So I really do think kind of the future is you kind of tape this information to your point, Key. Yeah. It is synthesized and then it's hyper personalized and delivered in a way that the consumer has never seen yet today.
Yeah. I'm in exactly the same camp as Will on this. And I think the only thing I'll add is that the collaboration between that experience and the consumer is different than what it is today. Today, it's very one-dimensional, like the customer's just following along. I think there's a tremendous amount of collaboration that exists in those experiences as it goes. But I get excited the more I dig deeper into it. I mean, look, I'm a little scared about some of the shit I've seen, but... But sure. I'm definitely in the positive camp of this is going to be really cool. When you said personalization, by the way, best example, I'm going to add to this and then I'll let Keith wrap this with his question.
Yeah.
I've been studying a lot about AI and I've been just very fascinated in the medical portion of it. Just, I don't know why, I've just been really focused on that. Mm-hmm. And I found it, there's this, I'm going to freak out half the people on the show, but it's fine. But we're going to get to a place where they can develop vaccines specific to the actual individual. So it's not just a vaccine with this potential error rate. They're going to be able to synthesize a vaccine based upon the DNA and the cells of that individual for that specific thing. And that's going to come faster with data being able to be crunched on a level that human beings cannot. So we get scared of this stuff, but I'm in the camp that AI eventually, when I say eventually, I have no idea on the time frame, but it's going to push, humans will live longer because of it. And that's exciting to see the advancements that will happen in healthcare with it. So,
I mean, whether it's vaccines, whether it's diet, a hyper-personalized diet on behalf of the individual, how many calories do you need? What's your protein?
Totally.
Everything.
Everything.
Sleep is the hot topic. How much sleep do you need? I really do think every key element will have your own personalized playbook dialed extremely tight on a per user basis.
And your personal trainer you're still going to want a personal trainer in the future. You're just going to want an AI empowered personal trainer that can give you the macros that you need and is measuring everything and giving you a constant feedback loop and everything else, right?
One last comment. I was having lunch with Leo Pareja, the CEO of EXP at Inman, and he mentioned something to me. I don't know why it stuck. He's actually interesting. I forgot to tell you. He said that they were playing with OCR 3 to 4 years ago to get data off the files. And
so were we, remember?
I know,
anyway,
right. And nobody wanted, because it wasn't very good. It had a lot of issues. 99% accuracy rate on getting that off transactions now because of AI. And what's interesting to me, when you said personalization, I'm envisioning a world where personalization of the property. Imagine a world where there's an actual follow-up mechanism based upon the serial numbers of the appliances and the warranties and every single detail of that property. So you can have an actual ownership platform based upon the specific house. Not like, hey, you should get your air filters changed out. This is what you should be doing based upon that particular piece of equipment at this time frame, et cetera. So I love the idea of just how we're going to get to this unique experience around every person or everything that you have. So anyways,
I think that's an awesome point.
I'll ask the last question, but I mean, to take your imagination experiment a little further, James, like I think it will get to the point where you'll get your tax return, right? And then it'll tell you like, oh, you've got X number of dollars. Here are 3 things you could do with it. You've got this deferred maintenance. Your washing machine is at or near the end of its useful life. Tickets are really cheap to Japan right now, and you've always wanted to go, right? You'll get an event will happen, and you will get feedback on different ways that you could execute based off of that feedback loop, right?
But you know what? Like robo investors, like those products exist, and financial advisors are still right there by the side for individuals. So this isn't going to be a wash away effect. Exactly.
Right.
Which is what we came back to in the original part 15 minutes ago. It's the AI empowered individual, but somebody to talk to along the way. So
completely.
All right, take us home.
This is what we ask everyone as the final question. If you were an agent, other than getting HomeStack on their phone today, what's the one thing you would implement to drive your business forward for 2025 and into 2026?
It's leverage, right? And leverage can come in various forms. The way that we view leverage here, at HomeStack, it's code. We think code is leverage. We think technology is leverage. We think that's extremely scalable. For agents, it could just be growth. It could be experimenting with other processes. It could be joining a team. It could be a myriad of other things. So, I mean, in the old days, money was the ultimate sign of leverage. I think fast forward to today, you kind of start to see people, and now code is starting to overtake that.
It's interesting. Great answer.
If you're an agent, implement leverage.
Find leverage. Great answer. Will, thanks. Thanks for the conversation.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was
Appreciate that very, very much.
This was incredible.
Yeah.
We'll do it again sometime.
Look forward to it, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Alrighty, guys.
Thanks.
Take care.
Want to accomplish something today? Hit that subscribe button.